Okay guys, we're going to go over lesson 2. This is data representations. So our first slide is always going to be an overview, as you can see right here. We have overview, that's what this one is. Then we have our learning targets. You should probably write those down. Then we have battery life. That's going to be some graphs, and we're going to look at the differences that we can see between the different types of graphs. Then we have some data that we're going to analyze, and we're going to make into 2 different histograms and a box plot, and then we're going to do a summary. So let's get started. So by the end of this lesson, you should be able to find the 5-number summary for data, which is going to be able to be seen in a box plot. That's why I have that right up here. Then you should be able to use a dot plot, a histogram, or a box plot to represent data. Another way that we can say histogram or something similar to a histogram is a bar graph. A bar graph is like this right down here on my slide. This is a bar graph. The difference between a bar graph and a histogram is that a histogram's bars are going to touch. So there would be no space right in here, okay? Okay, let's go to the next slide. So we have a dot plot right up here. We have a box plot. And we have a histogram right over here. During class, we talked about the differences between these graphs. One of the major differences that we pointed out was that the histogram down here groups together between 2 and 3, whereas the dot plot gives us a little bit more information because it goes between 2 and 2.5. So we can see more precisely where things are because the dot plot separates it out between half hours instead of whole hours. So on our histogram, we have these 2 columns right here. So we have 6 dots that represent these 6 phones, which, by the way, I don't think I said this yet, but this is for the battery life of 26 phones that are constantly streaming video. So all of these graphs show the same data, the same 26 phones. So we talked about the differences between this dot plot and this histogram. Now I want to look at the dot plot and the box plot. So I'm going to zoom in here. And I had you guys tell me if you could remember what these 2 points are, because they're kind of related. But we called these the minimum and the maximum. And in some of my classes, I had you guys look and see that this is at 2.5. And this is up here on the dot plot is at 2.5. The maximum is at 6.5. And on the dot plot, this one is at 6.5. So you can see that those kind of correspond together. So we have our minimum and we have our maximum. Then I had you guys look at this middle one right here. And I told you that this one also started with an M. And it was one of the things between mean, median, and mode. And we determined that this one was our median. And how do you find your median? Well, the median is the middle number. So what I like to do is go through and cross things out. I'll go through like this. It's a little bit easier on the dots than it is when we have numbers, but we're going to do this when we have numbers later too. So we have two numbers right here that are our median. When we have our median and there's two numbers, we're going to take the average of them. Okay? So, but we have both of the same number because they're both 4.5. So we know that the answer is going to be 4.5 because when we add 4.5 to 4.5 and get 9 and divide by 2, we're going to get 4.5. So I'll show you later with getting the average of our median and when there's two numbers. Then we had these two. I told you guys I didn't expect for you to remember what these were because these are our first quartile, so our Q1, and our third quartile, so our Q3. Basically what that means is we're going to have the median from our minimum to our median for Q1. And we're going to have our median from the median to the maximum. So we're going to take our median up here, which we already have it. We have that it's 3.5, and we have that it's 5.5. But I'm going to go ahead and show you up here. I'm going to go ahead and erase this information that I've already showed you up to our median, leave that green. I'm going to erase up here on the maximum side. Okay, so when we have 2 points that are the median, you are going to include the one that is on the side that you were coming from. So we're going to go from there to there. And then for the maximum, we're going to go from there to there. So we're going to go and I'm going to mark them out like I did before. So we're going to get that 1 point. So we should have the same number of points crossed out on both sides. So I have 1, 2, 3, let me point at it. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The same number on both sides. So I'm going to do the same thing I just did, but I'm going to do it for the maximum. I'm going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And I'm going to circle this one right here. And I'm also going to double check that I have the same number on both sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm good. So my Q1 and my Q2, and I've shown you how to do those. Let's go on to our next slide. Now we have the data for 30 tomato plants. This is the number of days to produce fruit. For 30, I'm just going to put an arrow there and say tomato plants. For 30 tomato plants. So here's what we're going to do. First thing, actually, hold on. We're going to label this over here. This is our frequency chart. When you do a histogram, you need a frequency chart. So I'm going to change this right over here. This is going to be 41 to 50, 51 to 60, 61 to 70, 71 to 80, 81 to 90, and 91 to 100. I'm having you change that so you don't have overlapping numbers because we have like 60 right here. I don't want you to have a frequency for 60 twice in your graph. I only want it to be in the 51 to 60. I don't want it to be in the 60 to 70. So we're going to change that to where it doesn't include that. So when we are looking at our 41 to 50, anything that is in that range, so from 41, including 41, all the way to 50. So also including that 50. So we only have 1 point there. We have 47. So I am going to mark that over here. I have 1. This one right here. Then we're going to look from 51 to 60. So including 51 and including 60. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then from 61 to 70, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, now from 71 to 80, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now from 81 to 90, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6 there. We do not have any from 91 because we already have gone through all of our numbers. So we have 0, and it's okay to have 0. All right, so now we're going to take our frequency chart. Let me see if I can copy this over. It's kind of messy. Let me copy it. And we're going to paste it right there. Looky there. That was super helpful. Okay. So from 31 to 40, we did not have anything. From 41 to 50, we had this 1 right here. I know you guys can't see that full data thing, so I'm going to write it in really quick. We have 41 to 50, 51 to 60, 61 to 70, 71 to 80, 81 to 90, and 91, to 100. So I'm going to take 41 to 50, and I'm going to put 1 bar right here up to the 1. I'm going to kind of shade that in. You don't have to shade it if you don't want to, depending on what the instructions say on each assignment. So we have 51 to 60. We have 5. So I'm going to take my bar up to the 5 and go across and down. So remember, I said that a histogram should be touching, so we should have the bars should be touching here. So let's color that in. I know this is a little bit messy. I'm not going to count off for that. I just want to see that you're making a proper histogram, okay? And that you get the idea of what we are doing right now, okay? And on your assignments online, you will be able to just put in the numbers and it'll make the graph for you. All right, so from 71 to 80, we also had 9. So I'm just going to draw that over and go down. Shade that in a little bit. And then we had from 81 to 90, we had 6. So I'm going to go up a little bit higher than this last one over here. The other pink one, that is. And then from 90 to 100, we had 0. So there's our first histogram. Now we are going to make a histogram with an interval width of 5. This one was an interval width of 10. You see that up there? So interval width of 5. So I'm going to change, so this is the number of days to produce fruit. And this is our frequency. So now we need to do interval widths of 5. So I'm going to start at 46 and go to 50 because my first point is at 47. So that's going to include my first point. And now I'm going to go by intervals of 5. So 51 to 55, 56 to 60, 61 to 65, 66 to 70, 71 to 75, 76 to 80, 81 to 85, and 86 to 90. All right. Now we're going to do the same thing that we had done earlier. So between 46 and 50, we just have that 1, that 47. So we have 1. Between 51 and 55, so we have 1, 2, 3. Between 56 and 60, we have 1, 2. Between 61 and 65, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7. You do have to include every single one if there are multiples of the same number. That's important. All right, from 66 to 70, we have 1, 2. From 71 to 75, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. From 65 to, 75 or 76. Wow, numbers, 76 to 80. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. From 81 to 85, we have 1, 2, 3. And then we have our final 3. So we have 88, 89, and 90. That'll be between 86 and 90. So we have our 3 there. All right, so now we're going to graph our numbers that we have. I'm going to leave that right about there. That's where you can see the numbers. We have from 46 to 50, we have 1. So we're going to start here. We didn't have anything below that 45 to 50 mark. Kind of shaded in. Then we have 51 to 55. We have 3. So I'm going to go up to our 3 here. A little bit shaky. All right, from 56 to 60, we have 2. And from 61 to 65, we have 7. So this is going to be our tallest graph. Whoops, there we go. All right, now we are going to do 66 to 70, and we have 2. From 71 to 75, we have 5. All right, from 76 to 80, we have 4. From 81 to 85, we have 3. We need to be up just a little bit. Okay, and from 86 to 90, we have 3. Whenever we were in class, I talked with you guys about which one of these graphs shows the most data. So I'm going to flip back to the interval of 10 and then go back to the interval of 5. Between those two graphs, we can see specifically the peak that was between 60 and 70 on the last graph had 9, and so did the one between 70 and 80. Those both had 9, right? But we can see that there's quite a few here at this 60 to 65 amount. So it's important to see a better distribution that way instead of just having 2 really tall ones. So it's going to depend on how our distribution looks on our interval width. All right, now we're going to do a box plot. So we have the minimum. So I'm going to look at our data up here, and I'm going to circle that 47. That's our minimum. That's the smallest number because these numbers are already in order. Then I'm going to circle the 90 because that is our maximum. I'm going to write that in there, and I'm going to go ahead and graph it over here. So we have about 47, and we have 90. And take a different color. I'm going to underline these numbers this first time as I go through. So I am going to find our median. I'm off a little bit. There we go. Okay, so we have 70 and 72. So we're going to add those together. 70 plus 72 divided by 2. So we're going to get, when we add 70 and 72 together, we're going to get 142. We're going to divide it by 2. And then we're going to get 71. So our median is 71. I'm going to graph that over here. And now I'm going to take my green. And we're going to go all the way through here for our Q1. So for Q1, we're going to start at the beginning, right? Because it's in our first quartile. So we're going to go from here to here. Do the same thing that we did earlier. All right, I'm going to double check that I have the right number. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that is our median for our Q1. So 62. I'm going to go about right there and mark that. Going to do the same thing for my Q3 or my third quartile. Go like this. We're going to get 78. All right. And there's our box plot. We just connect all of our points. All right, final slide. So, a summary, you should be able to say that a dot plot can be used to see the shape and distribution of the data. You should be able to see that a histogram is another representation that shows the shape and distribution of the same data. And a box plot is used creating the 5-number summary. And I showed you guys the 5-number summary. That includes the minimum value, the first quartile, the median, the third quartile, and the maximum value. All right, so your homework is to get on GeoGebra and do Unit 1, Lesson 2 notes and Unit 1, Lesson 2 practice. All right, I'll see you in class.